You know that feeling when you walk into a meeting, sit down and smile at your colleague, but something feels completely off? Like there's an invisible wall between you and the people you work with every day. You can't explain it. Nobody said anything wrong. Nobody had an argument. But the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. That is not just workplace drama. That is silent resentment. And it is quietly destroying team communication from the inside out, one unanswered message, one passive response, one faked smile at a time. And here is what makes it so dangerous. You cannot see it coming. It builds slowly, invisibly, over weeks and months, until one day the entire team dynamic has collapsed, and nobody can remember exactly where it all went wrong. Stay with me, because what I am about to share with you in this video has helped teams go from completely fractured and burned out to genuinely collaborative and high-performing. Not in years, not in months, but in a matter of weeks. And if you are watching this right now thinking your situation might already be too far gone, I want you to hear this clearly. It is not, but you do need to act before the silence becomes permanent. We have a program linked in the video description below that walks you through exactly how to dismantle silent resentment within your team step by step. Most people who find it have already tried everything else and failed. If you are not ready to actually fix this, that link is not for you. But if you are, do not wait too long, because the people who need this most are usually the ones who convince themselves they have more time than they do. Now let me paint you a picture. Imagine showing up to work every single morning already exhausted. Not from the commute, not from the workload. You are exhausted from the emotional weight of pretending everything is fine. You laugh at the right moments in meetings. You say things like "sounds great" and "absolutely, let me get on that." But inside you are running a completely different conversation. You are thinking about the idea you pitched 3 months ago that got ignored, and then your colleague pitched the same idea 2 weeks later, and suddenly it was brilliant. You are thinking about the time you stayed late to finish a project while someone else went home, and then that person showed up the next morning taking credit in front of everyone. You are thinking about the email that got no reply, the Slack message left on read, the way your input always seems to come just a little too late to matter. That is silent resentment. And here is the brutal truth that nobody talks about. You are probably carrying it right now, and so is at least one person on your team, maybe more. Research in organizational psychology consistently shows that unaddressed interpersonal tension is one of the top 3 reasons high-performing teams fall apart. Not poor strategy, not budget cuts, not bad leadership at the top. It is the quiet stuff. The things people never say out loud. The feelings that get swallowed down every single day until they become identity. Until people stop trying because they have convinced themselves it does not matter anyway. And here is where it gets even more painful. When people stop trying, the whole team slows down. Productivity drops, collaboration becomes surface level, creativity dries up. And the people who cared the most, the ones who were once the most passionate and driven, they are usually the first ones to go quiet. Then they go looking for somewhere else to work, and then the team wonders why it always loses its best people. Does any of this sound familiar? Because I want you to understand something. If you're watching this video, you are probably not the problem. You are probably the person on the team who actually gives a damn. You are the one who notices the tension. You are the one who has tried to address it, maybe awkwardly, maybe imperfectly, but you have tried. And that matters more than you know. But trying without a real framework is like trying to fix a leak with your hands. You can slow it down temporarily. You cannot stop it. Let me show you how this actually unfolds inside a real team, because this is not abstract theory. This happens every single day, in offices, remote teams, hybrid setups, startups, corporations. It does not matter the size. It does not matter the industry. Silent resentment does not discriminate. It usually starts with something small, a miscommunication that nobody bothers to clear up, a decision made without input from the people it affects most, a piece of feedback delivered poorly or received defensively. And in that moment, instead of addressing it, someone chooses silence. Because saying something feels risky. Because they are worried about coming across as difficult or sensitive. Because the culture of the team has quietly trained people to just move on. So they move on, they swallow it, they tell themselves it is not worth it. But the body keeps score. The emotions do not disappear, they just go underground. And the next time something happens, the reaction is not just to that one thing. It is to that thing, plus the thing from last month, plus the thing from 6 months ago, plus every single small moment where something felt unfair or dismissive or invisible, and suddenly what should be a simple 2-minute conversation turns into an emotional explosion that nobody saw coming. Or worse, it never explodes at all, it just festers. And the team gets quieter, colder, more transactional, less human, and here is what that actually costs you in real numbers. Studies on workplace disengagement show that teams operating under unresolved interpersonal tension lose an average of 7 hours per person per week in productivity. 7 hours. per person, per week. That is almost an entire additional workday that simply evaporates into tension, miscommunication, avoidance, and do-overs caused by people not communicating honestly in the first place. Multiply that across a team of 5 people and you are looking at 35 hours a week of lost output, every single week, because of something nobody is talking about. Now imagine what it looks like on the other side. Imagine walking into that same team, same people, same challenges, but something has fundamentally shifted. People speak directly. They do not sugarcoat things, but they also do not weaponize honesty. When something feels off, someone names it cleanly and quickly, and the team moves through it instead of around it. Ideas get challenged without people feeling personally attacked. Credit gets shared. Effort gets acknowledged. People actually listen when someone talks, not just waiting for their turn to respond. That team does not just feel better to be part of. It performs at a completely different level. Research consistently shows that psychologically safe teams, where people feel heard and respected, outperform their counterparts by significant margins on virtually every measurable metric. Innovation, speed, quality, retention, all of it goes up when the silent resentment goes away. And here is the part that gets me every single time I talk about this. The people on these teams are not smarter. They are not more talented. They are not working harder hours. They have just learned how to communicate through the hard stuff instead of around it. And that is a learnable skill. That is something you can build deliberately and systematically. This is not personality. This is not chemistry. This is not luck. It is a framework. But here is who this is not for. If you are looking for a quick tip you can use to smooth over the surface of your team's communication without actually changing anything, this is not for you. If you want to keep doing what you have been doing, and just hope things improve on their own, this is not for you. Teams do not self-heal from silent resentment. The research on this is extremely clear. Unaddressed interpersonal tension in teams does not get better with time. It calcifies, it becomes the culture. And once it becomes the culture, the cost of changing it becomes exponentially higher. But if you are the kind of person who actually wants to understand what is happening beneath the surface of your team's communication, and you want a real systematic way to change it, keep watching. Because this is exactly what you have been looking for. The single most damaging habit at the core of silent resentment is what psychologists call conflict avoidance, masquerading as professionalism. People have been trained by culture, by upbringing, by workplace norms, to believe that keeping the peace is the same as being a good teammate. It is not. Keeping a fake peace while real feelings go unaddressed is not professionalism. It is a slow, emotional withdrawal from the team. And when enough people withdraw far enough, there is no team anymore. There is just a group of individuals tolerating each other while they wait for something better to come along. The antidote is not learning how to have difficult conversations. That framing is part of the problem. It implies that honest communication is inherently difficult, which trains people to avoid it even more. The real shift happens when teams develop what can only be described as a culture of early honesty. Not brutal honesty, not radical candor deployed without care, early honesty. Addressing the small thing when it is still small. Not waiting until the 10th small thing has piled onto the 9th and 8th and 7th, until the whole tower collapses on everyone. The teams that master this do not have fewer conflicts. They actually surface tensions earlier and more often, but each one is smaller, cleaner, and resolved faster. And the cumulative effect of that over months is a team that trusts each other at a level that most teams never reach no matter how many team-building exercises they do. Because trust is not built in a ropes course. Trust is built in the small moments where someone speaks honestly and the team responds with respect instead of defensiveness. That moment, repeated consistently, becomes the foundation of something genuinely powerful. And you can start building it. Right now. On your team. With the people you already work with. Without waiting for leadership to hand you permission. Without waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is not coming. But you can create the conditions for it starting today. The program linked in the video description is built specifically for this. For the person watching this who already knows their team is struggling but has not found a method that actually works. People who implement this approach do not spend another year watching their best teammates disengage. They do not lose another quarter to invisible tension eating away at their output. They do not go home at the end of another week feeling isolated and frustrated and wondering why nothing is changing. That stops. And it stops surprisingly fast once you know exactly what you are doing. The link is below. The people who move on this quickly are the ones who look back 6 months from now and cannot believe they waited as long as they already have.